Hi everybody, Ricky here. Today I'm going to show you how to make shredded chicken tacos. I learned how to make them from my grandmother Elva, which I learned how to make as a kid. She always liked to make chicken tacos for everybody, and everybody'd always show up on the weekends, and we'd just gather up as a family and just eat a lot of tacos. Everybody was always welcomed, and it was always just a joyous time. So figured that's why I wanted to make a video about shredded chicken tacos. Basically what it is you boil some chicken and then you shred it with two forks after it's boiled, and you pour the water out, and then you put some spices on it and stuff, and put all the toppings and everything, and it's really good. My mom also makes them too, so they're really good. That she makes also, which is the same recipe. And then plus, tacos are good anytime, right? Because if you think about it, especially Taco Tuesdays, because think about it, everything's discounted on Tuesday. Like a lot of the grocery stores, they'll like sell you a bunch of bundles and stuff. So, let's go take a look at the ingredients before we get started. Here I'm gonna start with the chicken breast. I got about 2.25 pounds here. You can use as much as you want depending on how many tacos you want to make. Of course, if you make a lot, you can always keep them as leftovers, because the leftovers will be good for a few days. Or if you just like to grub down, which tacos are addictive. But this is the main ingredient, obviously, so this is what we're starting with. Here on this plate, I got some spices here. So I got some cracked black pepper with the peppercorn cracker. And then I got some paprika put on there. Got some chili powder. Of course, chili powder goes about on any kind of taco dish. And then got some garlic salt. So it'll have some salt and some garlic. To give it a little bit of extra kick, I'm also going to put a little bit more garlic powder by itself. Because I find that the garlic powder by itself has more of the garlic in it than the salt with it. They put more salt in the garlic salt one. So that's what I do, is use a little bit of the garlic salt and then put some garlic powder in there. And then ground cumin. Of course, you gotta have that for any kind of a meat dish that's gonna be like tacos or enchiladas or nachos or anything. This cumin, it's just really good in everything. Even if you make it in chili or anything spicy, you even go good on some chicken wings and stuff. And then I got some chives here. Of course, some fresh chives will be better, but I'm just gonna mix this in with the meat. So, yeah, that's what I'm gonna be putting on the meat. Here I have some of the toppings that are going to go with it. And here's a Rama tomato. I like going with the Rama tomato because they're smaller and they're just easier to dice up. Plus, if you're growing your own tomatoes, Rama tomatoes grow a lot faster than the giant tomatoes. The giant tomatoes are more juicy too. So they usually make a bigger mess, and then there's not as much tomato than if you use these tinier Rama tomatoes. So that's why I usually pick these as the choice. And then here I have a red onion. Red onion's real good, and that's what I like using. Sometimes I'll use a yellow or a white onion, but there's no wrong onion to go with. They all taste good. But today I decided to use a red onion. My grandmother, she liked red onions, so that's why I'll kind of go with that. And then here I got some avocado, and it's ripe and good, and it's ready to cut up and dice up. Got a lemon here to go with the avocado. I'm gonna put the juice in the guacamole. It'll keep it fresh a lot longer. It tastes a lot better. And if you throw some garlic powder and some salt in there, it'll give it a just really good taste, and it just keeps it better so much longer than if you don't add the lemon. So it's all win-win. Lemon and avocado just go together really well. And then, of course, I got some cilantro here. So I'll be dicing that up too to add to the dish. And so that's what I got here for some of the toppings. Of course, tacos aren't tacos with the lettuce, right? You always gotta add the lettuce to go with the tacos. I decided just to get some shredded lettuce. Of course, you can just get some lettuce and dice it up yourself. But I wanted to just go ahead and get some shredded lettuce, so I just bought it already shredded up and ready to go. Saves a little bit of time, and it costs about the same price, so that's why I went with shredded lettuce. And then here's some of the other ingredients I'm going to be using. Got some Daisy sour cream here, real good. Gotta have the sour cream to go on the tacos, because sour cream just rocks. And then of course I got some Kraft cheese here. This is a fresh brick. I like using the fresh brick cheese because it just tastes so much better without all those preservatives on there. If you get that other cheese that's already pre-grated, you'll notice all that like white cakey looking stuff on there. That's what it is. It's the preservatives. It's not bad cheese, the ones that's already pre-grated, but you can taste like a big difference when you buy a brick of cheese and then grate it up yourself, which was what I have here is the cheese grater. You can grate it in all kinds of different ways. You can even grate it into slices, so say you were like having wine or something, you know, you could even have cheese and wine or something with this grater. It's pretty cool. And then I got some olives here. Made a mistake earlier and thought I grabbed the sliced olives and I grabbed the chopped olives. So it's still gonna be good. It's just gonna be chopped in a bunch of little pieces instead of the slices with the O-rings, you know, like you usually see in the tacos. But I usually prefer the sliced ones, but these chopped ones will work and do the job. And then I got some green chilies. Green chilies are just real good on anything, if you think about it. Throw them on enchiladas, nachos, tacos like we're making. Throw them on hamburgers. Put them in quesadillas, just about anything you can think of. Some green chilies are real good. These are also diced and ready to go. And then also I got some pickled jalapenos here. These are the concession stand types, you know, like you usually see like at a movie theater or something, like you get on the nachos and stuff. It's usually a preference and an option anyways with that. But these are the pickled and salted ones. Of course, the fresh ones are real good too. And if you want the real hot ones that are fresh, usually just leave the seeds in there and don't cut those out, and they'll taste a lot hotter. If you carve the seeds out of the fresh jalapenos, it'll take a lot of the heat out of it and stuff. And of course, anything with vinegar usually takes the heat out of stuff, so it's usually why they pickle a lot of these jalapenos at the stores, because it takes a lot of the heat out. Most people don't want heat on there. Too much heat, I mean a little bit, but you know, taste varies, so, and it's an option, so I'll leave that for you to decide and stuff. But here's the ingredients. After the chicken's cooked and spiced and the ingredients are chopped up and ready to go, then I'm gonna cook some of these corn tortillas and cook them in some avocado oil. I like using the virgin avocado oil because it's extra filtered and just gives it a better taste. But they do have regular olive oil at the grocery store, but that's kind of a preference thing too. I noticed they sell more virgin olive oil than they do regular olive oil though, because like I said, I think the majority will agree that it does taste better, you know. So let's get started and get cooking. Yeah. First, with the cilantro, I'm going to start out and pick the stems out of it. I guess some leave the stems in there, but I kind of like taking the stems out of it. Just seems to make it tastier to me, especially if you're going to put it in a taco. If you're making it for a salsa or something, maybe the stems would be alright in there, you know, for flavor or something, but as far as in a taco, I'd rather just have the leaves more. But that's what I'm going to be working on until I pick all the stems out of this. Once I do that, then I'm going to dice it up. Now that the cilantro's got most of the big stems picked out of it, I'm going to cut it up into some smaller pieces so it'll be easier to sprinkle on the tacos once they're cooked. Cilantro is very good. Yep. Next, I'm going to dice up the tomatoes. Gonna start with cutting the ends of the tomatoes where the vine grew out. Fine, if I do that, it yields more tomato and it falls out real easy. So I'll usually do that for how many ever tomatoes I'm making. And then I'll just take it, slice it into slices. And then once I got it all sliced up, I'll take it, cut it into more pieces sideways like that. Turn it sideways again. Then dice it up into more pieces. Makes it come out perfect for topping on tacos or adding to salsa. So that's what I'll usually do. So I'm gonna get cutting the rest of these up, and then we'll get to some of the other toppings over here. The tomatoes are now diced up. So next I'm going to cut the onion in slices, and then I'm also going to dice it up just like I diced up the tomatoes. And you kind of just want to cut it in slices. Got to be real careful when cutting the onions more because they're more solid, and you got to just watch that the knife doesn't slip while you're cutting the the onions up. And you'll just cut it in pieces like that. Then kind of just turn the onion sideways and cut it in more pieces until you get dices. And you'll have that as a good topping for the tacos also. So I'm gonna finish dicing this onion up, and then we'll get started on the next item. Now that the onions are done, I can start on the avocados over here. Go ahead and slice this lemon open too. Usually want to watch for the seeds when you do add it to the avocado. And the avocado, you'll just kind of cut down the top. Definitely make sure you wash the avocado off good with just some good clean warm running water, and then you can just twist it like that. And then you can just take the pit right there, and then I'll just throw it in the trash can. And then that's good. And then I'll just gently slice. You don't want to slice too hard because you don't want to slice your hand, but gently just slice there. If you're afraid about pushing too hard, you can always use a plastic knife, but like I said, you definitely don't want to cut your hand or anything. But if you cut it up like that, it'll fall apart easier into the bowl and just make it easier to mash it up with a fork. So that's why I usually cut it up in little cubes like that. Just makes it easier. Seems to take longer if you just mash it up. But that's what I'm going to do next. Add it into the bowl and start fluffing it up. Now that I'm done cubing the avocados up, I'm going to take a bowl and a fork, and then I'm just going to throw it in there. Real real simple. It simplifies it a lot more than if I just threw it in there as a whole. It's funny, the fork kind of poked a hole through the thing. Make sure I don't have any avocado on the back of any of there. Does it look like it? I can throw those avocado skins away. And I'll do the same thing with this one. Yep. So many things I can eat avocado with. If you look up recipes, you'll just see like literally like thousands of recipes just for avocados. Also goes good with most breakfast items. I think it's just a superfood, and it just makes you feel good when you eat it. It's got a lot of vitamins and stuff in it, and healthy fats, and it's just all around a superfood. Then usually I just take the fork, and the rest of it I kind of just stab it with the fork a little bit around. Move it around a little bit. I'm kind of just stabbing it with the fork. Then I'm about to take this lemon right here and I'll add that in there. Always gotta watch out for seeds popping out. I use a generous amount of lemon. It's good usually to start off with some just initially on top and then kind of move it around and fluff it around. That way it can start to get a consistency of turning into guacamole from an avocado. And I'll just do this for a little bit. After that, I'm going to sprinkle some garlic powder and garlic salt in there. After I get it fluffed up first though. That way it'll keep its texture and more of a consistency of the taste. And I'll add a little more lemon to it. If you ever do get any seed in there, what you can do is take the end of a fork and kind of just dig it out and then throw the seed in the trash. So there goes one about to pop out of there. Got it before it dropped into the guacamole itself. The more the lemon gets squeezed out, so there goes one right there. Then usually if you cut it at the top, you can use this top part of the lemon too. It's usually if you cut it by the top, there's not too many seeds, but just depends on the lemon that you get. And can't really tell where all the seeds are in the lemon Unless, I guess, the scientific joke is like you have an x-ray machine or something to see where the seeds are in the lemon. And then that'll put plenty of consistency in it. As you see, it's more liquefied. Gives it a better texture too, and it just tastes better on the tacos. Also goes good with some crisp chips as well. And then once you add that garlic in it to give it that little extra kick and some salt, really good. Got the garlic powder here. I'm going to throw a little bit of garlic salt in there as well. I find most of this is more salt than garlic, so that's why I usually buy the garlic powder and the garlic salt. Find it gives it more of that flavor kick to it that everybody's looking for. After I fluff it around some, then I'll add a little more to it. Don't want to add too much salt. Plenty of garlic's good, but not too much salt. Because then it'll just, anything too salty obviously don't taste that great. Now what's next is we're about to start grating the cheese. I put up the other toppings for now, so now I got the cheese grater. I like to go with the big side of the cheese grater because you got this tripped out looking cheese, you got the itty bitty microfine cheese, you got the cheese slices, and then you got the big slices. Or the big grates, but I like the big grates of cheese. As always, it's a preferential choice, whatever you prefer to do. I think this is supposed to have a thing that says Terra Cross. These cheeses always give me a bunch of, there it goes. Open that. Get it out of there. There we go. So now I'm just going to take that and just going to move across and grate the cheese. And inside the cheese grater, it's just making a pile of really good cheese in there. Then I'll just move down along the line with the cheese, grating it up. Usually gotta turn it over each way because it'll become uneven at some point as you're just grating the cheese. But once it's done, it's going to be really good. Reason most of us like to just buy the pre-grated is you don't have to do all this extra work and don't have to clean all the dishes. But if you go that extra mile and you grade some fresh cheese and all that, everybody will taste the difference like night and day. For all the restaurants, you know, they usually use all the fresh stuff, and all the homemade stuff are always the best. Most of the restaurants, that's where they got the idea in the first place, is from all the homemade recipes. But now if I pull this up, and just kind of tap it. Poof. Big old thing of fresh grated cheese. Cheese at its freshest and its best. It won't last a really long time, but if you're going to serve it right away, very good. Yup. So now that that's done, just get to opening the other cans, and then I'm going to get started boiling the chicken. Now I'm going to open the green chilies and the olives in the jar, because the jalapeno jar is new too. If you haven't ever tried green chilies, I highly recommend them. They're really good. Once you try them, you'll see why they're good with almost about anything. That's like a main course meal. So you can see, as I was talking earlier, these are more chopped than sliced. But like I said, I picked the wrong can up. I thought it said sliced and it said chopped, but like I said, it'll still work on the olives and stuff. On the olives. It'll work on the tacos and still taste really good. Here's what the green chilies look like. Really good. You can also put them on chicken burgers and hamburgers. And then the jalapenos. Also, the shredded chicken, actually you could make chicken burgers with it too and stuff, if you'd rather do that instead. But main thing is shredding the chicken up and slicing it real good. So we're about to get started with boiling the chicken and making the tortillas. Now we're gonna start cooking the chicken. So now I'm gonna pour some water in there. I'm gonna go ahead and start the stove. Open the packaging and place the chicken in there. Then I'm just gonna let it cook for a while. Have this other piece, but I don't think it's gonna fit, so I might just put it in a bag and save it for later. Those two big giant pieces of chicken there will be plenty. Got the fire going on high right now, so it's starting to warm up. We're gonna get it boiling and let it boil for a little while, so it can make sure all the chicken is well done all the way through. So it'll take a little bit, but once it's boiled for a little bit and got up to temperature like it's supposed to be for chicken, usually go up to about 160 or so. Just let it boil for a while. Then once that's done, we can drain the water. And then after the water's drained, then I can start shredding the chicken up and spicing it up. There it goes, starting to boil up there. Some of that juicy chicken broth starting to foam up at the top. But just keep it consistent for a little while. Let it boil till we get it nice and done and know it's well done. Another way to make it cook faster too is take some forks and kind of just poke some holes in it all the way through. You want to use some metal forks since it's going to be really hot. And when you do that, it'll make the meat cook a lot faster and it'll make it tender. Plus, we're going to shred it anyway, so it doesn't hurt to poke a bunch of holes in it. It'll kind of look like that. Of course, you can kind of tell the meat's not done because it still looks a little pink. And we don't want to get sick from undercooked meat, so we really want to cook the meat real good. Figured I'd give that tip I learned on how to make it cook faster by poking holes in the meat as it's boiling. I turn the chicken upside down and then I'm continuing to poke holes in it. Just hoping it go through the cooking process a lot faster. Once it's done though and we get it shredded up, it's gonna be so good. Yup. It's about done cooking. The water's cooked down a lot on it, so have to add a little bit of water here pretty soon, but it's coming along and it's gonna be done real soon. The chicken's done now and I set it off to the side, so I'm gonna pour some of this La Espanola avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, and avocado oil into this pan. And then I'm gonna cook the corn tortillas in it. I'm gonna make soft corn tortillas. If you want to make them crispy, you can kind of just take forks and hold them into place, and it'll work that way. Stove always likes to make that noise. But now that I got oil in there, got a 20 pack of tortillas there. And I'll heat up this oil. And then I'll just kind of start with one at a time and just put it in there. Let it cook. Then I'll take a paper towel and a plate and just set it on there. And when that's ready to, I'll flip it over When it's ready to pull off of here, I'll just throw it onto the plate and I'll repeat with the next one. It's kind of bunching up there. Well, that one was kind of a task in itself, wasn't it? Seemed like that first one was kind of falling apart a little bit from just the way it was made in the store. So I'll get this plate and I'll just kind of toss it on there. Take a paper towel. And if I start getting low on oil, then I'll just pour a little more oil in there. And then as many tacos as I want to eat, I'll just repeat. If you cook it at a real high temperature, it will turn into crispy tacos, and you can form them. Usually using a couple of forks will form it up real good. If you want the softer tacos, you can kind of cook it more at a low temperature. And as you can see right here, I already have one tortilla under there and a paper towel, and I'll just layer it. It helps take the excess grease off, and then it also keeps them from sticking together, which usually once they cool down they'll stick. And then this one I'll flip. And once it's cooked a little bit on that side too, I'll throw it on there and I'll just keep repeating until it's done. Then after these had time to cool down, then I'll shred the tacos and put some seasoning on them. Then we can put everything together and it'll be ready. The tortillas are now done and the chicken's done, so I just gotta drain the water and then I can start shredding it. The water's still kind of hot, so kind of just draining it in a pan to let it sit and put it aside. And then I'm gonna start shredding the chicken. Still a little bit of water in there. Look at all that good cooked chicken. You can see it's kind of shredded up already from just poking a bunch of holes in it with the fork, but I'm going to use 2 forks to shred it up even more. I'll just move that over there. Now I'm going to get to shredding. As you can see, just take 2 forks and you just start shredding away. And you just want to shred it into a bunch of little pieces everywhere. Makes it easier to digest that way, so that's why you want to shred it up real good. So that way it's in pieces, makes it easier to chew up, and swallow and eat. Makes the tacos a lot better. Kind of like ground beef's like already real easy to eat because it's in a bunch of pieces. But if you make steak tacos, then it's better if you cut those up into a bunch of little pieces. Because, you know, it's just, like I said, easier to chew and digest and swallow. But it takes a little bit to shred it. But you just keep doing this until it's just shredded up into a bunch of little pieces. After that, then I can add the spices to it and then just kind of stir it around. Then put it on the tortillas, all the toppings. Then we'll have a really good meal. Takes a little while to boil it and cook it, but you know, all the best cooked meals usually do, compared to food that's just flash fried for like 5 minutes and ready. I mean, it's okay, that kind of fast food drive through, but the homemade and the restaurant foods are always the best. Now it looks really good and shredded. All that's left now is to add the spices to it. Throw some chili powder in there. Some garlic powder. Some cumin, of course, because that always gives it its flavor that we all love about tacos. Paprika. Put a little bit of chives in there. And then also crack a little bit of pepper in there. And then to make it easier to mix, just pour a little bit of water on top. It'll hydrate it up a little more and give it that flavor. And we'll just kind of mix it around. All that shredded goodness. Yup. So you can see the spices are starting to make all the meat look nice and spicy. If you like stuff more bland too, you can leave it more bland, and can also use more spices or less spices, just depending on your taste. It's always season to taste. If you mix it around though, you'll know it's all flavored up good once you see everything looking the same. And depending on how tender you want it, you can add a little more water too. That always helps. That's about plenty of water. You can kind of hear it gives it that sound. So you know it's got plenty of water in it. But not so much where, you know, there's water like in the bottom of the pan or nothing. That way it don't make your tacos soggy. So now that it's ready, I just got to put it together. And then we can try it out for its goodness. Well, here they are, done and ready, and looking real good. Look at that. Yep. So let's try it out. Nice soft taco. So good. And the chicken's tender because it's all shredded. Yeah, water in the chicken with the spices makes all the difference. That's what makes it taste really good. So I'm real grateful to my grandmother that she did teach me a recipe, that I'll take on with me for many generations to come. And glad to share it with everybody too. I hope you enjoyed the video and looking forward to making some more in the future. Party on. And when there's recipe and cooking involved, cook on and eat on. So good, I just had to get one more bite.